All right, I have 3 minutes to go over what I think is important about South Carolina Native Americans for the Europeans game. So we're going to use that top 10 list over there to the should be on the left. Um, the culture, political systems, and daily life of the Native Americans of the eastern woodlands were affected by the geography of the region in which they lived. A lot of words to say that the Native Americans in South Carolina and the surrounding areas were known as eastern woodland Indians because they lived along the east coast. A lot of woods along the east coast. The eastern woodlands were hunters and farmers. They couldn't go out and buy the goods from anymore. They had to get the things themselves. But not only did they hunt, they also farmed, which means they went through the Neolithic Revolution. They stayed in one spot to grow the crops that they needed. They used sharp points carved from rocks and animal bones for hunting, as well as bows and arrows for hunting. Yes, that's where we get those arrowheads from. Once again, they could not go down to Bass Pro Shop or Walmart to buy weapons. They had to make them themselves. Sometimes they also use fire to drive out animals or to clear a field for farming or hunting. That is use of fire. You need to know fire is an important natural resource. Native Americans used it very much so. Got to go through this quickly. The primary crops were corn and pole beans, and they used the corn stalks to as poles for the beans. But they also grew squash, pumpkins, bottle gourds. Sometimes in tests they will, instead of saying corn, they will say maize. Maize is a type of corn. Corn is maize. They also grew tobacco, usually in separate plots. Native Americans depended on their natural resources, and in South Carolina, we have lots of forest, lots of flora, flowers, and they use that when for during their daily life. They use the rivers for not only to bathe and fish and all that stuff, but also for transportation. You need to know that. Housing was made from the material they found around them. There were no Lowe's, there were no Home Depot. They had to make it themselves. The key thing you need to know is that they used the natural resources around them to do everything because that was the only way to survive. Because South Carolina had fertile land, very fertile land, they developed farming. They were very much so into farming. All right, so very much so using their natural resources. But then the Europeans come. That's more into the next standard, but you know the Native Americans were initially very friendly with the Europeans, but they began to resist the Europeans as the Europeans started taking their land. But that's next, and that's 3 minutes.